Welcome everyone in the another video where we will learn about SELinux. In the part 1 video, we understand what SELinux is, what are the different modes into which we can run SELinux, where the configuration file of SELinux is stored, into which we can make changes and make the uh, another mode as the permanent mode. In this video, we will have a practical look on how SELinux matches the labels and basis of this label matching. SELinux allows or block the access to the particular files and folders. We will be creating a Apache web server to demonstrate this. Let's quickly see if we have HTTPD installed. Yeah, we have Apache service installed. Systemctl status. So it is up and running also. In the last video, we understand that Apache web service will match this context, which is HTTPD. So all of the files and folder which will have this SELinux context with the HTTPD, this Apache web service would be able to access those files and folders. So there is a default location where SELinux can access that files and folders. So we'll create a small web page there. We'll quickly move it to var www.html. So this is the default location. And if we quickly see the SE context on this, so we can see the SE context of this is already HTTPD. For this moment, let's ignore this. We will have more information on this in the uh, later video. So there would be many other HTTPD context also there, which will be created basis of the location of files and folder. So now we have seen this is predefined in this SELinux that all of the files and folders which will have the context of HTTPD, this Apache web service would be able to access those files and folder. And this folder already have this context there. So we'll quickly create a small web page here. Let's quickly see what is the context on this also. So we can see this file also has this context HTTPD. So according to our learning, uh, Apache web server would be able to access this web page. So let's quickly see. Let's see the IP address 128.239. 192.168.239. So we can see we can read this web page. So now this is because the context of this files and folder and the label SELinux is able to match because both are matching. That is the reason uh, this Apache web server was able to access this files and folder. Now we will quickly make some changes in the configuration file so that we will create a new folder and will ask Apache to read from that particular folder. We are onto the root. We will create one folder. We'll quickly move into it. Let's see the context on this. So we can see the context on this is given as default. So according to our learning, this Apache web server would not be able to access this particular folder. Let's create a index.html file, a web page again in this folder also. We'll use the same. This is not a default web page for SELinux. Let's quickly see the what is the context given on this. So we can see the context on this file is also the default one, and we know that because this is not the HTTPD, so this Apache web server would not be able to access this file. Let's quickly make few changes in the configuration also so that this can be pointed to this. We'll move to its configuration file. We'll make few changes here. Yep, for YY. We have copied these 4 lines. We'll quickly go to last here. We'll paste it. We'll go to the insert mode, data, granted, my data, and quickly save it. Systemctl restart HTTPD. We'll restart the service so that new changes should be in effect. Get enforce. Now this is right now is the enforcing mode. So we know that when this SELinux is in the enforcing mode, it is going to block all the accesses uh, where the label is not matched. So just to check whether our configuration is okay and there is no mistake in this configuration, we'll quickly set this to permissive so that uh, we are sure when we are able to access the file that there is no error in our file configuration. So we'll quickly do it, my data, and yes, we can read this web page. So this shows that our configuration in the Apache Web Services is okay. So now we'll quickly change it to the enforcing mode. Now it's enforcing, and now this SELinux should block it. Now if we quickly refresh this, so we should get the error. Yes, when this is refreshed, it is showing like you do not have the permission to access the resource. This is because the SE context on this file is, okay, we are on the conf file. Let's go to the SE context of this file index.html is default, and SE context of this directory is also default. It is not HTTPD, so SELinux is blocking the Apache web server to access this folder and the file. Now, what we can do is we can change the context of this folder and the file and make it again to the HTTPD so that then SELinux is going to allow this access because label will be matched. Before we do that, let's see one more thing. We have got SELinux troubleshooter here. This is going to record all of the activities because when it would be in the permissive mode, it would have given the notification there, but it has allowed that access. So let's quickly see if there is. Yeah. So previous list all alerts, HTTPD. So we can see it is saying that you need to change the context from SELinux FS context using this F context type this, and by this we can change the context, and then we would be able to access this file. Let's quickly do it. We can use chcon -r to make it recursive, -t because we have to modify the type, and the new context which we need to give to this is httpd underscore sys underscore content, and we need to give it to data. -r httpd content object controls invalid parameter. Let's quickly see what. Okay, underscore t chcon hyphen r failed to change the context. Let's see. Let's quickly see the context there. We'll go to cd space var www html ls hyphen ldz. Okay, chcon hyphen r hyphen t. We'll copy this from here. Data. Yeah. So now this command is run, and now this context of this data folder, and because we have used the hyphen r, the index.html file inside that this data folder, their context, SE context would be changed. Let's quickly see. Yeah, we can see its context is now httpd sys content. Let's quickly see for the file also. LZ, it is also the httpd. So now when we have changed this context and it is matching, now this SELinux should not block this. Let's quickly see get enforce. It is in the enforcing systemctl restart httpd. So now we should be able to access this files and folder. If we quickly refresh it, we can see this is not a default web page for SELinux. We are able to read this file. So this is how we can change the SE context label. Now one more important thing which we need to remember here is uh, with the command chcon, this is not the permanent one. When we say permanent, this doesn't mean that when we will be rebooting this server, uh, this context will change automatically. It is like if on the, let's run the restore command to restore the context. So this restore command has relabeled to the default one. Let's quickly see. So now we can again see that the context is here is default. So now again, when we are going to access this uh, web page, we would not be able to do that. Okay, let's see if it is an enforcing. Okay, so it has only relabeled the data folder, but the file is still there. So we will again use the restore con minus v was there. Okay, now it has done. So we can see it's default. So now access to this is blocked. So what we have understood is um, with the chcon, this is not going to be permanent. So whenever SELinux is going to relabel all of these, the default context on that files and folder would be applied, and we will again get this block. To make this a permanent change, as we have already seen in this SELinux troubleshooter, it is given for SEmanage. Let's quickly see again. So it is giving us to use the SEmanage command. Let us see how we can use the SEmanage command and we can relabel this. This is the default. Let's quickly see. So now we will use the SEmanage command. SEmanage f context. Okay, hyphen a is to add. Will again copy this. We need to add this context and we'll do it to data. SEmanage f context. Okay, we'll go it to the root. Unrecognized argument. Okay. SEmanage hyphen. Okay, we missed one argument hyphen t. So now we have added this context. So once we have added this context, this is not going to change anything because when this context is added, SELinux has already relabeled what it is required. But this new context is not applied. To get this new context applied, we need to again run the restore con command and ask SELinux to relabel it. Let's quickly run the command again. Restore con -v is to verbose r for this hyphen data. So it has relabeled, and we can see it has relabeled to httpd sys content. So let's quickly see. So now this data folder content is labeled to this. Let's quickly see for the file also. Okay, so this file is still in is the default one. So this relabel is not done. So we'll again run the restore.con command and we'll make it for index.html also. Okay, so why it is not done? Because when we have used the se manage command, it has only done for the data. We'll do it for index.html also. Let's rerun the restore con. Yeah, so now it has renamed it. So let's quickly see. So now this context is httpd. Now we would be able to access this file. So now we are able to access this file. So now we understood, like with chcon command, we can temporarily add the context to the particular file and folder. But in case SELinux is asked to relabel the complete file, or if we create an auto relabel command in the root, auto relabel file in the root, then every time the machine will boot and this SELinux will relabel all of these. With the use of semanage command, we have made an entry in the policies that this folder will be relabeled with this. There is a location. Let's go to that location. It's etc SELinux targeted contacts files vim file.contacts.local. So we can see. So here is where when we use the semanage command, it has made this entry that these files and folders, this data folder and this file inside the data folder will be labeled as this. So this is how we can permanently register our entry. We should not make any changes to this file, and we should always use the command to get this file modified. So this is the one way which we have looked in, and where we have changed the context of the files and folder and see how this SELinux is blocking and unblocking the access to that particular files and folder. So every time to change the context of file and folder would not be a good way to done. So there is another concept of Boolean in SELinux which we will learn in the uh, third video, which would be the last one, because uh, For an example, if we are using any FTP server, so we can give the access to all the users to access their home folders. So in that case, if we are going to change the context of all folders, it would be a hefty task and would not be practically possible. So there we will use the concepts of booleans and will change the context according to that. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.